Look at these. Look at them. I've been sweating like 3 different parts. Front shocks, rear shocks, and wheels. And one of the parts I've been sweating just came in today. In this box, I have the front shocks from Viking Performance, which is quite local to me, about 20 minutes away actually. When you order it, you can add an additional spanner wrench kit, and I actually had to add the kit because I don't have any shocks nice enough to require them. So now I have them. So these are nothing special. They're just like your standard conversion kit for a 68 Camaro with stock suspension. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so they are the Crusader series. They're not special valving. They're not special radial valving. They're not special no prep valving. They're just out of your box. They're just out of the box Viking Crusader series. Just like that. I ran the same stuff on my S10 that I used to have. It worked. It was like night and day when I switched from stock suspension in the front of the S10. It was very similar to what I have in the Camaro right now, which is a coil spring and wore out shock. The S10 actually used to use OEM shocks in the front. So I'm really hoping to have the same success switching to these. I used to typically just throw the directions away because I don't need that. However, in my old age, I've learned a couple things. Not much, but a couple. One of them is usually advice given by the manufacturer is there for a reason. One way or another, it's there for some reason. And they make very clearly in capital letters, use anti-seize on the threads. So I know we have to run these all the way to the bottom to start with. So we're just gonna dabble here. Nothing like taking these super shiny, nice, new struts out of your box and then just covering them in anti-seize. It also says to coat the threads on there. This will be our first one down. Oh, there it is, right in the drying. Groove side up. Oh, God. Oh, God. They were new. Oh, wow. Also wants bearing too. Basically you just want to paint everything anti-seize. And then these come to your own a couple different ways. I'm gonna run the factory T-bar stuff at the bottom. T-bar. So I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you later. I'll look into it. Oh no. There, now it's T-bar mount. Huh. So we got our washers on there with our bearing. So you can order it with or without the bearing seat. I did opt to get the bearing seat. See the spring just spins up, rotates on a lot nicer. That mainly comes in play when you're making adjustments on the ride height. Okay, so we got our fully assembled Viking. Double adjustable front, right there. We've got our fully assembled front of the Camaro. Brian wrapped this up and just did a killer job on it. So last week we left off, this stuff was all just tacked in. It's kind of hanging freely. He's got it 100% buttoned up. He's got one more mount just to kind of touch up. He's cutting that out this week. But everything else is done. We got the upper control arms back. I brought in my friend Derek, Sloth Coatings. They were orange, like Hugger orange, or Chevy orange, or Camaro orange, or whatever. They were orange. Derek made them black. He blasted them, repowdered them. They turned out pretty sweet. They're kind of like vintage TRZ stuff, but they look pretty nice. So we got that on. The billet steer arms from TRZ as well. Then obviously Brian's handiwork. So if you're ever curious, how do I get a rack in my 68 Camaro? You're kind of looking at it. You could do it this way, which Brian I don't know how he comes up with it. He starts cutting, welding stuff, and bam, here you are. They do make a kit, like I was talking about last week, from Smith, where you basically chop from, I don't know, right about here, and then you use these factory lower holes on each side. It bolts in, gives you some mounts. It wasn't going to work for our situation, so Brian slammed this in. He's got the arm all done too. This turned out sweet. This is so out of the way. I couldn't be happier with it. I was all worried it was going to kind of cut across and it was going to be in the way, but he nailed her. He got her nailed just up and out of the way. And then it's connected to the motion steering column. So like I was talking about, this is actually, it's for like a 2003 Silverado. It's the bolting kit they make. It came with Matt's car when he bought it. And it obviously wasn't going to work in Matt's New Edge Mustang. So I just threw it on the shelf and I thought, maybe someday I could convert it. It was way too easy. I spent like a half hour getting this thing in here. I still got to make the lower mount for it, but the upper mount's in. This is exactly where it's going to sit. I'm keeping Old Faithful. I gotta have some familiarity when I'm going down the track because it's going to feel like a whole new car. So I at least want to feel the 1980 steering wheel still. But yeah, so she's in. She's done. We're going to throw this front double in, and we're going to have a pretty good idea what this is going to look like. So that's pretty much what we got. So here's a smidgen of concern. Obviously we're gonna add like 1,000 pounds in front of this car. Control arms wanna come up, and I'm almost certain it's gonna hit. But at this point, I don't care. I'm gonna take my Sawzall, I'm gonna cut it here, and I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna throw it in the scrap bin. I'm not gonna throw it in the scrap bin. I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna take it from here. I'm gonna move it forward from like there to there. It's gonna be just enough for the old control arm. It won't be no trophy truck suspension, but it'll work. And that about wraps up the old double adjustable front install. So we kind of looked at this before. So this is what we went from. These are, I'm pretty sure they're what GM had to offer. There were some spacers, you know, the ones where you put them in and then you turn so it doesn't sag too much. Specifically on my side of the car, there were quite a few. You throw like 260 pounds in there, she squats little. So we're working with these honeys. These are, I don't know, maybe mid to early 1990s vintage. This is what we had before. So I'm not like the world's strongest person, but as you can see, I can run this through run it all the way through the travel by hand. Yes, I know if you're gonna tell me, oh, they're adjustable. I've gone all the way, each way I've tried. You know, tighten up the car, yeah, okay, and you know, spin it, and then you take this, and then it doesn't matter. It still goes up and down. So this is gonna be a wild improvement. So going from basically nothing. If you ever watch a car, they come out of the burnout and then it would like crush the front balance because it would come down so hard. So I'm no shock expert. I don't know where to start with these things. However, they came with a pamphlet. It says drag racing set here. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna set them there and hope for the best. So anyhow, I know these videos aren't wildly exciting by any means, but I'm trying to stick with it. I wasn't gonna make one this week because I'm like, it's just so boring. Nobody really cares, but maybe a couple of people care. And I don't want to skip the progress. I don't want to skip the progression of driving your car into a wall because you're an idiot and then having to fix it so you can get to the race you want to go to on the 16th. I really want to be at I-29. I'm trying to be an adult and tell myself that you shouldn't rush this and you should take your time and make it right. And I'm gonna do that, but there's a fine line between rushing it and just giving up. I'm trying to straddle that line right now. So I'm doing everything I can to make it to I-29 on the 16th. I might have to borrow some parts. I don't think the rear shocks are gonna get done in time, which I get it. Like everything's screwed up right now, and I'm just glad they're being honest with me. I talked to them about it, and they're like, you're probably not gonna have them on time for that. And that's fine. They didn't give me like some wild promise when I sent them in. So I'll take what I can do. Matt's got a spare set of rear shocks I can borrow. The fronts, I don't know if they're gonna be in the new wheels. I've got my old 15s, my aluminum stars I'm gonna toss back on. The rears should be done soon though. So worst case, we can borrow some parts, put them on here. It's gonna be safe, it's gonna be right. It's just not gonna be all the parts I want the car to be on. But either way, we're gonna try to get there. So stand by for more progress.